Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Jess Perkins. Hello, Jess.
David.
Very formal this week. Thank you so much. Good to have you here.
No, we're fighting.
Oh, okay. Not formal. Angry.
Yes.
What did I do?
You'll find out.
Okay. Looking forward to cracking this mystery. And joining us this week, a very special guest who you'll often hear us yelling out on the podcast for technical support.
Yes.
One of our greatest allies, our greatest mentors, our greatest of friends.
Yes.
Host of the Gamey show. Is there enough
Gamey.
Game. That's right, because Matt jokes about the name too many times now. I can't say it properly.
Yeah, fair.
Host of the Gamey Game show.
Nailed
it's Evan Munro-Smith. Hello,
Thank
Evan.
you.
I'm clapping you.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh my God.
An absolute
I'm
pleasure to have
starstruck.
you. Yeah,
I'm excited.
The Evan Munro-Smith from
Evan.
Stupid Old Studios and Gamey Game is here.
Normally,
I'm here.
he's lurking in corners.
I am, to be fair, I am usually here.
Yes, in the building, yes.
Somewhere.
You're usually just like out that door and through the next door.
Yeah. But
That's
it's a
what
pleasure
you-
to be, it's such an honour to be on the pod.
On pod.
Wow.
We're stoked to have you here. Now, basically, if anyone's ever seen any video of us that looked good,
Yeah.
Evan was
That's Evan.
responsible.
Yes.
And if it looked bad, we tried to do it ourselves.
That's true. That is
Yeah.
absolutely true. Everything is. This is what happens in the Do Go On Evan Munro-Smith relationship. We go, Evan, we have a project we want to do. Evan goes, can you give me any information about it? We go, nah. And then the week of, we go, oh, Evan, did we ever give you any information about that? He goes, no, but I've done it and it looks amazing. And we go, thanks, Evan. And we never learn. We never
Well,
learn.
that's very nice.
He makes us look great, and we love him.
Thank you. Does this mean I
that too
could be
much?
up for a Do Go On award?
Yeah. You could be. Yeah, I get. Oh no, maybe not.
No?
Oh, mate. So we often do so at the
We
end of
do
every
guest
year. We
report.
do our Do Go Oners, the annual Golden Shiny Gary Awards for
Yeah.
podcasting excellence. And we do have a category for Best Guest Report Giver.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But we don't usually say Best Guest unless you want this to be a new category.
I think it should be.
Or is there a topic you
How
like to...
about, no, hang on. Let's do a new award called Best Evan,
Oh, my
Oh.
God. We'll do it. We'll do it this
and we'll
year.
see.
Wow.
Best Tech Support.
I guess it would, imagine if I didn't win.
Yeah, it'd be brutal, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Matt, you know what? It'd be pretty funny, actually, if we have an award for Best Evan and we give it to Beck. That'd be fun, I reckon.
She is our second best Evan.
Agreed.
She's pretty good.
She's also behind a lot of our great projects.
Absolutely.
It's true. Yeah.
Behind every great Evan is an even greater Beck. That's how we can describe it. So yeah, in January on Patreon we'll be putting out our annual Golden Shiny Gary Awards. Keep your ears peeled. Maybe we'll have our
Maybe.
best Evan award.
Exciting. But you just get to sit back, relax, and fill the role of Matt Stewart this week.
Beautiful.
Which just means you feel free to go on some dog shit riffs,
Yep.
interrupt a lot,
Uh-huh.
speak over us. That'd be good,
Great.
especially me. And if you do interrupt me, go bop 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 up. That's always good. And yeah, you just get to sit back and relax and have fun.
Be the feminist of the podcast.
How
What a
good's that?
pleasure. Yeah. What
It's
a
a
great
dream.
deal.
It's honestly the best thing we could possibly ask you to do. There's nothing better. Shall I explain how the show works?
Yeah. Or would you like me to? Because you're going to do the report.
Yeah, you do it.
I
didn't want to do
It's
it.
a weird transition if you explain the show, then go into the show. So basically, Evan, and anyone who hasn't listened before, we take it in turns to report on a topic often suggested to us by one of the listeners. Go away, do a little bit of research, bring it back to the group, do the report, and we always start with a question. And Jess, like I said, it's your turn to report. Mm-hmm. Do you have a question?
I do. My question is, who has been widely hailed as the writer of the worst poetry in the English language?
What a way to find out my poetry is that badly received.
Now, I'm not sure this is a name that you'll know, but have you ever heard of anybody being referred to as like a terrible poet?
I don't
Does that ring any
think
bells?
so.
I don't think so
Usually
either.
you hear about poet laureates or good poets.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes I read it and I'm like, really?
It's a good poet.
That's
But
a
I don't,
classic.
and I'll flag early, I don't really get poetry.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Great.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why we
I
brought...
agree. I'm on board with this.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
gosh, Evan, that's why we brought you here. You're the poetry guy.
But I am fairly confident that as I read some of this poetry to you later, we'll all be able to identify that it is quite bad.
Okay.
You know?
Because I don't think I would know good poetry from bad poetry necessarily. I don't. But
I agree, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, is that good? I don't know. I guess maybe, if you read a poem, it makes you feel something.
I was just saying to Beck recently, I really don't like alliteration.
Okay, yep.
You don't like alliteration?
No.
Okay.
So if there's any of that in there.
What does it make you feel when you hear some alliteration?
I just find I think it's a people use it as a lazy way to sound smart, maybe, or I'm just like, why? Anyone can do that. It's I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
All right, evil Evan. Is that good?
Good one.
That's-
Good one.
Got him.
Yeah, Daring Dave.
Yeah, daring Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
Is it?
But some people will do like a whole sentence that's just like little starts with P's or something. You're just like, all right, come on.
It feels smug to you.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Daring Dave's dog dives deep.
Yep.
Like that kind of thing.
That sort of
During December.
So
Yep.
you hate newspaper headlines.
Oh, awful.
How do you feel
Yeah.
about puns?
I actually love puns.
He's back on board.
yeah.
Great, it's good to find your level.
And I love a portportmanteau.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes,
Love
you
a
do.
portmanteau. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Very funny.
I love a good acronym. Okay, so we haven't got a poet's name for you.
No.
John
Ooh.
Grisham.
Ooh.
We're going back not John Grisham. We're going back to 1800s. So
Jeez.
William is correct.
Whoa, wow.
Yes.
It just felt
I was going to
right.
say, give me
Amazing.
an old-timey name. You've got William.
Howard.
And then, not William Howard.
Franklin?
It's, think Harry Potter. Think
Snape?
Head of Gryffindor.
William Potter.
Think Maggie Smith.
William McGonagall.
William McGonagall is correct.
Really?
Yes.
Can't believe we got it.
That was a pretty
Can't
good
believe you
clue.
got William so quickly. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, William McGonagall is his name. He is infamous hundreds of years later for his really bad poetry. And it's a lot of fun. This has been suggested by Tim van der Rijt from Belgium and only recently recommended, actually. I think only a few months ago. I found this in the hat. I did a little bit of a Google and I was like, yeah, this is a bit of fun. I think if you were a fan of the episode we did about the Cherry Sisters, who were like a group of sisters who would perform songs and vaudeville and like sketches and stuff, and they were terrible, and people would go and throw fruit at them, and they sucked, but they were so successful at how bad they were.
Yeah, made a great
Wow.
career because people were just fascinated with how bad they were.
Yeah.
Right?
So bad it's good. That's a thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it really is. It's a Tommy Wiseau type kind of, are they aware of it? Are they not?
yeah.
So it's that kind of energy and
But poetry.
But poetry.
Incredible.
It's really fun. So William McGonagall was born in March, somewhere between 1825 and 1830. Sort of gave different dates throughout his life.
Hang on. They know the month, but they don't know the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So
He always says March, but the year changed.
great.
So historians dug a little deeper and they reckon it's 1825, but he kind of
Who
said
doesn't want
different
to take
things.
a few years off their
Sure.
age?
Exactly.
I can see that.
He was one of 5 children born to Irish parents, Charles and Margaret McGonagall. And the family moved around a bit when William was a child, moving to wherever they could get work. According to poetry website I found, wikipedia.org.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's it's got everything you need about poets, poetry, etc. It says, throughout his adult life, he claimed to have been born in Edinburgh, giving his year of birth variously as 1825 or 1830. But his entry in the 1841 census gives his place of birth, like his parents, as Ireland. Not very specific.
Right, but he
it
tried
is
to
Ireland.
rebrand as Scottish.
He's like, nah, I'm Scottish.
And young. I'm a young
Yeah,
Scot.
right.
Yeah, I think that was I couldn't quite really understand it, but they said it was likely because he would have been treated a bit better in this, like, essentially I think it would have been like government benefits. He would have been able to receive them better if he was fully Scottish rather than being
Okay.
born elsewhere.
Right.
So he said, yeah, I'm Scottish, of course, yeah.
Okay.
It's believed they spent time in Glasgow before settling in Dundee around 1840. And once the family had settled in Dundee, William left school to become an apprentice in his father's trade as a hand loom weaver, so fabrics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This would be his career over the next few decades. And despite leaving school and no longer receiving a formal education, McGonagall took great delight in reading and further educated himself by buying cheap copies of Shakespeare's plays. In 1846, he married Jean King, a fellow mill worker from Stirling, which is in central Scotland. Together they had 7 children.
Okay,
Whoa.
how do you feel about that? Does a question come to mind?
Well, I want to know if they know what's causing it, that's for sure. They had 5 sons and 2 daughters.
So do you feel like 7, that's close enough to 10 that you want them to keep going? Or
No,
they
if
should call it at
I
7?
cannot explain this, Dave. I don't mind 7.
Okay.
Maybe it should have been 6.
Yep.
Maybe I'm happier with 6. But 7,
It is an odd number.
it's too many. I still think
Sure.
that's too many kids.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. But something about 7 feels okay to me, and I can't explain it.
Lucky number 7.
It was much more common back then, right? To have
big families for sure. I mean, this is the 1800s. My mum was born in the 50s, and she's one of 9 kids. Like,
Whoa.
it's
the 1950s?
1950s, yes. 1850s. She looks great. So anyway, so they had 7 kids, and this was sort of during the Industrial Revolution as well, which was slowly making weavers obsolete by replacing people with machinery. But somehow McGonagall still did pretty well. He thrived. He was able to support his family. He was a highly skilled worker, and machines hadn't quite taken over some of the more complex tasks, so he was able to still work.
Yeah, like AI's come for everything except podcasting.
That's right.
If you're this good.
Yeah.
The machine can't.
We make it look easy, but that doesn't mean a computer could do it itself. You know, and that's
I reckon
important
you should
to
try
know.
it next week when Matt's still away. Just get AI to sit in this chair and
sub in.
I'm sure it'll have some great hot
do
takes.
some dog shit riffs every now and then.
Does it have to have the computer voice?
I mean, to be fair, some of Matt's riffs do kind of come out of nowhere, so it wouldn't even have to be relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
right.
Sometimes that's our greatest moments.
Yeah, and he's like,
Nothing to do with
where's he
anything.
gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
We love it.
Let's follow him on this journey. So while working at the loom, McGonagall would entertain his co-workers by reciting Shakespeare. Author Stephen Pyle wrote, William McGonagall's first stage appearance was as MacBeth at Mr. Giles Theatre in Dundee in 1858. Realising what a talent McGonagall had, Mr. Giles said that he could only appear if a large sum of money was paid to the theatre in cash before the performance.
So you're so good you have to pay to play?
I think maybe he wasn't. I think that was maybe a tiny bit of sarcasm.
Oh, okay. Right.
McGonagall said he considered this rather hard, but his fellow workers at the Seafield Handloom Works in Dundee had a whip around. They heard him reciting Shakespeare at work in his own unique way and were keen to see him turned loose amidst professional actors.
That sounds like they are setting him up.
Yeah.
It
sounds mean.
I know, and that's what's tricky is the balance here of like, is it mean-spirited?
Yeah.
Or are we kind of...
Are we laughing at him or are we laughing with him?
Yeah, and so that's where it gets a bit hard to sort of navigate sometimes. But I think what's sort of funny with these people is they are so unflappable.
Right.
And that they're not bothered by it. Like people criticize them to their faces and they're like, oh, yeah, they just don't get it. Or like they still think they're fantastic.
And
it's
that confidence.
Something about that confidence kind of makes it feel more okay to laugh. Because you're like, well, they're fine. They're not bothered by this.
And maybe he'll get out there, he'll start speaking, and everyone will be silent, Susan Boyle style.
Yeah.
With the incredible performance. Another famous Scot having a go.
Being very talented.
So not only a bad poet, but a bad actor as well.
Pretty bad, yeah. When the great night arrived, McGonagall wrote in his diary, my shopmates were in high glee with the hope of getting a Shakespearean treat from me. And I can assure you, without boasting, they were not disappointed. When he appeared on stage, he was received with a perfect storm of applause. When he uttered his first line, so foul and fair a day I have not seen, there was a deafening ovation. The crowd's just going nuts.
Amazing.
So all his colleagues just like, woo!
The other actors are like, do I keep talking or...
Yeah. Well, speaking of other actors, apparently McGonagall was convinced that the actor playing MacBeth was jealous of him and the praise he was getting. So in the final scene, which is a fight between MacBeth and MacBeth, which ends in MacBeth killing and beheading MacBeth, McGonagall just refused to die.
That's incredible.
Whoa.
No, MacBeth will win this one.
He's just rewriting Shakespeare. He's like, no. And I actually found, I'd already written that, and then I found him writing about this event, and it's beautiful from his perspective. McGonagall wrote, I remember the actors of the company felt very jealous owing to me getting the general applause, and several were as bold to tell me so. And when it came to the combat scene betwixt me and MacBeth, the actor who was playing MacBeth against my MacBeth tried to spoil me in the combat by telling me to cut it short, so as the audience, in his opinion, would say it was a poor combat. But I was too cute for him, guessing his motive for it. I continued the combat until he was fairly exhausted. And there was one old gentleman in the audience cried out, well done, McGonagall, walk into him. I don't really get that. And so I did until he, MacDuff, was in a great rage and stomped his foot and cried out, "Fool, why don't you fall?"
No man or woman born, for God's sake.
So he's just like, no, you're jealous that I'm getting all this praise and you want me to cut this scene short so that you look more impressive than me? I don't think so. I'm not going to die.
I mean, the end of MacBeth could be a bit more epic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think this would be a genuinely very entertaining show
And
to
a
watch.
genuine, it sounds like they're having a genuine fight now.
Yeah.
Which is thrilling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the end of MacBeth is a bit of a twist, because MacBeth thinks he's invincible, essentially. He's like, I can't be killed. No man of woman born can kill me. And then Macduff's like, bitch, I'm a C-section baby. I can kill you.
Yeah.
And he does. I think that's a fun twist. That in year 9, I was like, whoa!
They do that. Oh, Burnham Wood. Oh, my God.
I get why this Shakespeare guy's like pretty freaking cool. So, yep, he's made his first appearance on stage. I think he made a couple of other, appearances in I think this was almost like a community theatre type thing, but, acting wasn't really his main thing. He just liked Shakespeare and he would recite it to his co-workers while he was working as a weaver.
And to be fair, other actors want to be in Shakespeare with him if they've seen him be Macbeth and not follow the script?
So funny. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine a modern day equivalent of this scenario where you just go join a theatre troupe, just be part of that. Whose role did he replace in it? There was already somebody whose job that was. It's not like there's just a vacancy.
Or maybe they were, the theatre's going to be putting on Macbeth and they hire actors for all the other roles. I don't know. Yeah.
Was it a one-off? This is a one-off, right?
Yeah. So instead of auditioning, he's essentially paid his way in to get to play Macbeth.
So bizarre.
It is a bit bizarre. That's a good point. A turning point came from McGonagall in the middle of 1877, but it came at a difficult time for the McGonagall family. The family's reputation was heavily damaged when McGonagall's eldest daughter gave birth to an illegitimate child, and it meant that impacted his ability to find work as a weaver. Because it's sort of, the whole, everybody in the town knew them and, that sort of fun bullshit of the past.
Yep.
But William McGonagall was instead struck with a new inspiration. And this is him writing about it. I seemed to feel as if it were a strange kind of feeling stealing over me, and remained so for about 5 minutes. A flame, as Lord Byron had said, seemed to kindle up my entire frame, along with a strong desire to write poetry. And I felt so happy, that I was inclined to dance. Then I began to pace backwards and forwards in the room, trying to shake off all thought of writing poetry. But the more I tried, the more strong the sensation became.
No, I don't want to.
He's just so drawn to it. Amazing.
Fighting himself.
It's just come to him.
Yeah.
Poetry.
It's the Macbeth versus Macduff of him versus poetry.
And he clearly has a way with words.
Exactly right. That's what's so interesting is that, I'm glad I found this one particular website that had a lot of his sort of journal entries and some of the autobiographical writing he'd done of himself, because he can string a sentence together. He can write. He tells a story in quite an interesting way, even though a fair bit of that kind of weird character comes out in his writing. But he can write, which is impressive because he left school at 15. He wasn't formally educated for as long.
He just read a lot of books.
He read a lot of books and he sort of kept educating himself. So he can write, but maybe not poetry. It was so strong, I imagined that a pen was in my right hand and a voice crying, "Write! Write!" So at the age of 52, he'd had this epiphany. He was going to be a poet.
Great.
So he's been a weaver for, most of his life, and now he's in his 50s and he's like, it's time.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
I think if my business went under, I would take up poetry.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Is that your backup plan?
It's the backup plan. Yeah. Just
but no alliteration.
No alliteration, no. Just for the financial security, I think.
I think so too.
You just, you need something to
you got to take that check.
pay the bills.
If your business goes down and you sort of go, well, look, I tried to pursue my creative dreams. Now I'm going to give up on them. I'm going to turn my back on it. I'm going to go for something stable, steady, really secure my future, my retirement. I'm going to be a poet.
Yeah. You
And I
just
think
suck it
that's
up.
smart. Yeah, that's right. Suck it up, put on a suit, get your
Yeah,
briefcase,
I'd be like,
and
"Look."
head off to the poetry factory.
All right, you've sold out, but I get it. You've got to support your family.
Yeah.
It's a smart choice. It's a logical choice. It's
In
not
my-
an artistic choice.
In my
Yeah.
house, we call all work the job factory. How was your day at the job factory? It's always fun.
That's great.
So he wrote his first poem, and it was entitled "An Address to the Reverend George Gilfillian."
This sounds like a letter, not a poem.
It sounds more like like an angry a bit of feedback to the
complaint.
neighbour. Hey, the sermons are a bit fucking loud on Sundays. Keep it down in there.
Dear Reverend George. No, so this is the poem. Would you like to hear some of his poetry?
I would love to.
So
Okay, great.
excited.
All hail to the Reverend George Gilfillian of Dundee. He is the greatest preacher I did ever hear or see. He is a man of genius bright, and in him his congregation does delight. Because they find him to be honest and plain, affable in temper, and seldom known to complain. He preaches in a plain, straightforward way. The people flock to hear him night and day. And hundreds from the door are often turned away because he is the greatest preacher of the present day. It goes on, but you get the
Wow.
idea.
Beautiful.
Really nice.
It's much less colourful than his regular writing.
I agree. Yes. It's very his poems are very how would I describe them? They're almost like quite matter of fact. Like he's just telling some facts. There's no real flowery language. There's no real emotion. There's nothing. There's no imagery. No imagery at all. It's just very literal and the easiest possible rhyme you can find.
Yeah.
He is very good. When he speaks, he's understood.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good thing, I guess. It's
Yep.
positive.
Yeah. So McGonagall realised that if he's going to truly make it as a poet, like Evan wants to, he was going to need to find a patron. So back in the day, arts patronage was sort of support that princes, popes, other wealthy and influential people provided to artists like musicians, painters, sculptors, poets, writers.
Was it possible that this reverend could be one? Is that why he's sort of sucking up to him a bit?
No, I think
Right.
he was just like, okay, well, look, they say write what you know, write what you like. What do I like? I like that reverend. I'll write him a poem. I think that makes sense.
Fair enough.
So he needed a rich sponsor to pay him money to write his poetry, essentially. So when you're just starting out, who do you go to for patronage? Queen Victoria, obviously.
Okay, the big dog.
Go straight to the top.
Wow.
Easy. I'm sure you'll be able
I
to
mean,
get
she's got a lot of money.
She's got a lot of money.
And you know where she lives.
Exactly right.
Great. Easy
all
to
you
find.
need.
Easy to find.
How hard is it? So he wrote to her asking if she'd be a patron of his blossoming poetry
Yeah.
career.
Right. And here's a couple of examples. More of,
Of course.
this
Yep.
when you pay.
Yeah, that's right. And surprisingly, he received a letter of rejection.
Oh, I mean, are you surprised because he got a reply at all? Because
I'm
am.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, he did get a reply. It was a very polite rejection letter written by a staff member of the Queen. Just saying, no, thank you, but thanks for your interest, which he took as praise for his work.
Oh, no.
I've got a letter from the Queen.
Yeah, they said, thank you
Wow.
for your interest, and he said, you love it?
Oh my God, you're interested?
You love me?
You're thanking me?
I'm the best poet you've ever seen?
Wow.
I love him.
The royal stamp of approval.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously,
They can
she's
print
chosen by
money.
God, and now the person chosen by God is saying you're great. So you're basically approved by God to write poetry.
I can't fault that logic,
No.
and I wouldn't dream of it.
There you go.
So the letter gave him confidence. More confidence
So
Yeah.
great.
in his poetic abilities, and he thought the best thing to do would be to enhance his reputation by giving a live performance to the Queen. No, he was not invited to do so. But in July of 1878, he walked from Dundee to Balmoral, which was 60 miles or 97 k's,
Wow.
over a few days. He writes a lot about it in tedious detail,
Right.
about all the different places he stayed and all the people that he met who would, give him a room for the night and feed him. And they were all very complimentary of his work, let me tell you.
Oh, of
As
course
soon as
they
they heard
were.
he was a poet, they were like, come on in. It was crazy. It opens doors, poetry.
Yes.
So he walked to Balmoral, and when he arrived, he announced himself as the Queen's poet. And the guard
Okay.
said, you are not the Queen's poet. Tennyson is. Tennyson at the time
Oh, wow.
was the poet laureate.
Okay.
So close, not still exactly the Queen's poet, but similar.
Yeah.
And McGonagall's like, no, I'm the Queen's poet. And he shows them his rejection letter that he's received as proof that the Queen loves him.
Here it is.
But weirdly, that still did not convince them to let him perform for the Queen. So he returned home.
What? Oh, okay.
I also read in another source that the Queen was not there at the time. She was not at Balmoral. So he just returned home, somehow undeterred. He just walked
Amazing.
from Dundee to Balmoral.
The confidence.
The confidence is incredible. And that's
wish
what I
I
mean.
had
Like,
that.
I don't really feel like I'm laughing at him. It's just water off a duck's back.
He's bulletproof.
I think I admire him for his poetry's not good, but his confidence and
there's something about it.
and like at 50 something years old, he's just kind of like he's out on some adventures, and I respect it.
Yeah, these days he'd be posting some pretty wild Facebook statuses, but back then,
He's just going on a big walk.
exactly.
Yeah.
Who's got a problem with that? So he was a member of the International Organisation of Good Templars. It was one of those fraternal organisations which promoted abstinence from alcohol and other drugs.
There's his problem.
So throughout his life, he campaigned against excessive drinking, and he would use his poetry to do so.
Great.
Oh, my God.
That's what's going to get people across the line.
Yeah, but the problem is he would appear in pubs and bars to give these poems about the evils of strong drink, much to the anger of publicans and patrons who on occasion pelted peas at him while he recited his poems.
Jeez,
my
that's
God.
honestly, that's,
Very specific.
of all the food, that's the most merciful I can imagine.
I agree, unless they're
Pea.
frozen.
Oh, you're right.
That could hurt.
Did they do frozen peas back then?
Probably not. Did they have freezers back then? Probably not.
Probably not.
Not for peas.
Not for peas.
Not for peas.
So they would have just been fresh peas. So they're mushy.
Yeah, and they love a mushy pea in Britain. So
That's why you love Britain.
I love all their mush. If people were throwing mush at me, I'd just be opening my mouth.
Thank you.
Over here. Yeah, he's saying it as a compliment. They're trying to feed me.
Thank you so much. They don't have money to spare for my work, but they'll pay me in peas.
But they love me.
He's a glutton for punishment
Yeah.
and peas.
Yeah. In some of his later writing, he seemed quite paranoid and bitter about publicans. He blamed a lot of the poor treatment he received on them.
That's a bit unfair.
Pubs. My dear friends, this is him writing, a publican is a creature that would wish to decoy all the money out of people's pockets that enter his house. He does not want them to give any of their money away for an intellectual entertainment. No, by no means. Give it all to him and crush out entertainment altogether. Thereby, he would make more money if he could only do so. So he's like, he doesn't want people to pay money for my art because they should be spending it on booze, that evil drink. And it's like, no, you suck and you're killing the vibe.
The way he speaks, I'm now imagining the succulent Chinese meal man being
Yeah.
dragged out of the pub. What's the charge?
Yes.
Giving some poetry.
100%. I think it's the same energy. Throughout his life, McGonagall seemed oblivious to the general opinion of his poems, even when his audience were pelting him with eggs and vegetables.
Oh, God.
He persevered despite constant money struggles. He earned money by selling his poems in the streets or reciting them in halls or theatres. Sometimes, if things were really tough, his friends would help out with donations. His most infamous poem was called The Tay Bridge Disaster, written in 1880, which recounted the events of December 28, 1879, when during a severe gale, the Tay Rail Bridge in Dundee collapsed as a train was passing over it. All 75 people on board were killed, and McGonagall wrote his piece the following year in what has been referred to as the worst poem in the English language.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I won't do the whole thing because it's long.
Of course it is.
But it starts, and remember, this is a tragedy
Yeah.
So a recent one, it's a very sensitive topic.
where 75 people died,
Yeah.
and he's decided the best way to write about it is through poetry.
Okay.
And his intention is to honour the victim.
I guess. Hard to say.
Let's see if we can infer from the text.
Beautiful railway bridge of the silvery Tay. Alas, I am very sorry to say that 90 lives have been taken away. It was 75.
He rounded up. 75 is not dramatic enough.
On the last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time.
Oh, good.
'Twas about 7 o'clock at night, and the wind it blew with all its might, and the rain came pouring down, and the dark clouds seemed to frown, and the demon of the air seemed to say, I'll blow down the bridge of Tay.
Oh, no.
It goes on and on and on, and then this is the end. Oh, ill-fated bridge of the silvery Tay, I must now conclude my lay by telling the world fearlessly, without the least dismay, that your central girders would not have given way. At least many sensible men do say, had they been supported on each side with buttresses. At least many sensible men confesses. For the stronger we our houses do build, the less chance we have of being killed.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
This sounds like the structural engineers report. It's just getting a bit flowery.
Why the fuck are you including that in a poem about a disaster? Being like, okay, well, a lot of the experts say if we had supported each side with buttresses, then the accident wouldn't have happened because, can I just say, if we build our houses a bit stronger, we're not going to get killed. Like, what the that's how the poem ends.
And incredible use of the rhyme, buttresses with confessors. Very, very good. That's advanced.
And here's the thing. We know that poems don't have to rhyme.
No.
And he seems to think they do, but sometimes they don't.
He seems to think that that's all that there is to a poem.
Yeah, that's right.
Just you're right. It's so matter of fact.
Yeah.
But in a way that rhymes, and that's it.
That's
all he's got.
There's no imagery to it. And yeah, but they also he also doesn't follow certain rhythms.
Yeah, the buttresses came out of nowhere then.
Yeah, and
then
sometimes there'll just be an oddly long sentence. It doesn't flow. But it's so funny.
It's bizarre. Does he go in at all into like the victims of this tragedy, or is it
the poem is quite long,
right?
But
that feels like that's where the heart of this issue is.
Yeah, but he just sort of goes on and on about, as they are approaching Dundee and stuff like that. It's quite strange. And here's the thing. That isn't the first or only poem he had written about that exact bridge.
Okay, right. That bridge is his muse.
He loves it. The first poem he wrote about it was actually written before the disaster occurred, and it had a passage that says, "Beautiful railway bridge of the silvery Tay, I hope that God will protect all passengers by night and by day, and that no accident will befall them while crossing the bridge of the silvery Tay.
Oh my gosh.
For that would be the most awful to be seen nearby Dundee and the Magdalen Green."
Is it possible that he exploded the bridge?
Well,
really sounds like he did.
Maybe he really believed that it needed buttresses.
Yes, all his poetry is so powerful that it foretells the future, and we really should be looking at Nostradamus stuff, little clues for what could happen going forward.
But the fact that he's written this poem about, like, I really hope nothing happens when a train's crossing it.
Yeah.
And then something did happen when a train was crossing it, and then he immediately follows it up with a new poem.
I reckon, because what he's done is he's looked at it and gone, if I knock that down, I reckon I could rhyme buttresses with confessors. And that's too good to not have on the page.
Does it rhyme in a Scottish accent somehow?
Buttresses.
Now do confessors.
Confessors.
Not really. Not really.
No.
Unless you're Scottish and you're like, yeah, of course that rhymes. Please let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the beautiful
maybe
Scottish
he's
voice.
great.
Yeah, maybe he's incredible. And it doesn't work in the Australian accent.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not a poet. I don't know anything about poetry.
No, who am
Maybe
I
I'm reading it wrong.
But you do know a lot about buttresses.
I know a lot about buttresses. I definitely know what they are. I understand it. So about this first poem that he wrote, saying, like, oh, hope nothing happens. This is him writing about it. He said, the reading of the poem abroad caused the Emperor of Brazil to leave his home far away, incognito, and view the bridge as he passed along en route to Inverness. The poem about the bridge was so evocative that the Emperor of Brazil left Brazil in disguise just to see the bridge.
Does Brazil have, or did they have an emperor in 1880?
The Emperor of Brazil.
I've never heard of an Emperor of Brazil. Maybe.
And this is the poem about it might fall down. The Emperor's like, I've got to see this.
The poem about I hope it doesn't. I hope nothing happens to it.
That's incredible.
So evocative, as we know from his writing. That the Emperor of Brazil was like, I must see this bridge.
I gotta see. I've been wondering Where are these being published somewhere? How are people reading these? Where's he putting them?
He often sort of prints them and will sell them in like little books or just sell like just sheets of poems.
Right.
People on the street would just buy a poem.
Yep. Okay.
It's a different time. They didn't have TV.
Yeah. No,
I've just found Dom Pedro II, nicknamed the Magnanimous, was the second and last monarch of the Empire of Brazil.
That's a great nickname.
Reigning 58 years between 1825 and 1891. So Dom Pedro II could have gone all the way from Brazil, all the way to Dundee to see this bridge that could potentially fall down.
Yeah.
In disguise.
We can't confirm or deny that happened.
Wow.
Fantastic.
But
luckily
McGonagall.
he wasn't on when it collapsed.
That's right. He didn't want to cross the bridge. He just wanted to look at it. That's lucky.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. So McGonagall made a couple of attempts to make it big in the poetry biz. In 1880, he travelled to London to seek his fortune. But how he got the money to go to London is a bit of a wild story as well. And I got this directly from him, so who knows? So he'd received a letter from Dion Boucicault, a famous Irish playwright. Dion Boucicault, very Irish name. And Boucicault invited him to have lunch with him at a restaurant to discuss a tour of performances in towns throughout Britain and a promise of a great salary. So McGonagall's like, hell yeah. He goes to the restaurant to meet up with Boucicault. And McGonagall writes, I was received very kindly and shown upstairs to a little room. I think it was the smoking room, and I knocked at the door, and it was answered by one of the gentlemen. Of course I knew him, and he introduced me to the gentleman who was impersonating the character of Dion Boucicault. So he's like, you're pretending to be Dion Boucicault, but you're not.
Right.
But he knows. And he asked me how I was, and I told him I was very well, hoping to find him the same. Then he told me he had heard so much about my histrionic abilities, and he would engage me and give me a salary of £20 weekly, food included, and the other gentleman present said it was little enough for a man of my abilities. But all the while, I knew he was an imposter. So a fake Dion Boucicault has sent him a letter to come meet for lunch.
And offered him a job?
Yeah. And when refreshments were served, McGonagall decided to psych out the imposter Boucicault.
Oh, no. He's going to grab the fake beard. Turns out it's real, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
He says, I laid it down, so he's talking about like the food that they'd served, on a little round table beside me and screwed my courage to the sticking plate and stared the imposter Boucicault in the face. And he felt rather uneasy, like he guessed I knew he wasn't the original Boucicault. So he arose from his seat and made a quick retreat, and before leaving he bade me goodbye, telling me he would see me again. Then I kept silent, and I stared the rest of my pretended friends out of countenance until they couldn't endure the penetrating glance of my poetic eye, and they arose and left me alone in my glory. So he just sort of sat there in silence, staring at them until everybody else left.
I'd leave. I don't think I'd hang around.
If you were having dinner with someone and previously they'd been talking and suddenly they'd just gone into death staring you.
Yeah.
I'd get up. I'd go. So McGonagall then goes to the Theatre Royal, speaks to the theatre manager there, shows him the letter that he got from the fake Boucicault. And he goes, when he looked at it, he said it wasn't his handwriting and how I had met with the great disappointment, no doubt, and asked me if I would allow him to make an extract from the letter and he would send it to Boucicault. So I said I would. So there's not a lot of punctuation. So he made an extract. Essentially, he copied it, telling me he mentioned my poor circumstances in it and he would no doubt but Mr. Boucicault would do something for me by ways of consolation for my wounded feelings and for using his name in vain.
I was hoping to get like a signed headshot or something, being like, sorry to hear you met the fake Boucicault, but here, have one of these.
Yeah. So the manager at the theatre sends a letter to the real Boucicault, and a few days later gets a reply and a cheque for £5. In the letter, Boucicault felt for me very much, saying practical jokers were practical fools, which is my opinion. Which in my opinion is really true. So, my dear readers, it was through me getting the £5 from Boucicault that I resolved to take a trip to London. A steerage return passage at that time was £1. So I purchased a ticket and made up my mind to go.
Wow.
He writes for so long, and it's just how he got £5 to then go to London.
I mean, that's a weird way to get £5.
Yeah, that is to meet a fake Boucicault.
And say, somebody is using your name in vain and I'm quite wounded. My feelings are wounded.
And then to get £5, pretty good.
Well, it must have been a lot of money if a trip to London was £1.
Yeah.
£5 not bad, is it?
Seems pretty good. I guess this job wasn't real then either, right?
Surely not. But then who the fuck was this person pretending to be
what's the
Boucicault?
scam here? I don't get it.
But just now I'm thinking, did he make that up?
Oh.
To then get some money out of the real Boucicault.
Oh, that's a good one. That honestly, if he's done that, that's a masterclass.
That's really clever if he has. That's complete speculation on my part. I don't know.
There's got to be more to the story.
If somebody said, hey, somebody was pretending to be you and offered me a job and they weren't you and I'm pretty upset about it, I wouldn't be like, okay, well, I owe you money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like if someone contacted you with a screenshot of the fake Jess Perkins on Instagram and said, hey, I sent this person 10 grand for Bitcoin thinking it was you, you're not going to be like, all right, sorry, that wasn't me, but I'll replace the $10,000.
Yeah, I'm like, that's kind of on you, babe.
Yeah, sorry.
Call the police.
I'm sorry that happened. I truly am. But I don't think I'm liable for
But that's
that.
the difference between you and the great Boucicault.
That's right. That's why he's the
that's why
great
he's great.
Boucicault. That's why he's
that we've all heard of.
exactly a household name, and I'm nothing.
Dion Boucicault.
Dion Boucicault.
I wouldn't even know how to spell that.
Beautiful Irish name. It is Boucicault, obviously.
A-L-T?
What?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So then he goes to London and he writes of seeing the sights and seeing some performances at the theatres, but didn't see much. But I didn't really read much about him actually trying to perform or make money. So maybe he was just seeing the world. Maybe he was just like, wow, it's just a trip to London.
Yeah,
That's
enjoy
fair.
yourself.
He went to some theatres. That was kind of nice. And off he goes. He tried again a few years later in 1887, this time travelling all the way to New York City.
Wow.
But he didn't have much luck in terms of making money. He writes about Americans at that time not wanting to read or buy writing from people in the UK.
That was his problem.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
it.
they didn't like Charles Dickens or anything like that.
Yeah.
This is quite long, but again, it just shows a bit of his personality, which I love more and more. When I couldn't get an engagement, I thought I would try and sell some of my poems I had fetched with me from Dundee. Well, the first day I tried to sell them, it was a complete failure for this reason. When they saw the royal coat of arms at the top of the poems, they got angry and said, "To deuce with that. We won't buy that here. You'll better go home again to Scotland." Well, of course, I felt a little angry, no doubt, and regretted very much that I'd been so unlucky as to come to New York, and resolved in my mind to get home again as soon as possible. Just one day of somebody going, no, he's like, I'm going home.
And it took like weeks to get
I
there
know.
back then.
Yeah.
It took like 3 weeks.
For a day trip to New York.
When I came back to my friend's house where he was staying, I told him how I had been treated when I offered my poems for sale. And he said to me, I tell you what to do. You'll just cut off the royal coat of arms and then the people will buy them from you. And when he told me to do so, I was astonished to hear him say so and told him no. I said, I decline to do so. I am not ashamed of the royal coat of arms yet. I don't know why the yet. And I think you ought to be ashamed for telling me so. But
Is
you
this
may
because he's the Queen's poet?
Oh,
Or is it just because he's from England and that he feels like, or he was from Scotland,
Yeah.
so he feels like he needs to have that.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's a different time. Maybe it's because he's like,
He's
the
just
Queen
so
loves
proud.
me.
He's a patriot,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. But he's so angry at his friend for saying, just cut it off and sell your poems. He's like, how dare you? I think you ought to be ashamed for telling me so. I will still adhere to my colours wherever I go. So he just, he has a strong code of ethics.
Yeah, I'm not the problem. They're the problem.
Exactly right. So once again, he saw some sights and wrote home to a friend to buy him a ticket home. He didn't have enough money.
Oh, no.
And a friend back at like who ran a pub or something was like, let me know and I'll get you home. So he's then gone
He hit
home.
up Boucicault and said, look, mate.
Boucicault,
I
baby.
need to get from New York.
You won't believe what happened, but I got another letter from you. And
Yeah, they won't let me put the British coat of arms. You're Irish. You'll understand.
you get it.
You love this.
He did, however, find some success performing his poetry at a local circus. This is back in Dundee.
Great.
He would read his poems while the crowds were permitted, encouraged even, to throw eggs, flour, herrings, potatoes, and stale bread at him.
So who encouraged them? He did.
The circus.
Oh, okay. Oh, dear.
For this, he got paid 15 shillings a night. The events became...
How many shillings in a pound?
I don't know. I don't know how shillings
I can never
work.
remember either because we never had to bloody use them.
Thankfully. Oh, yeah, it's probably boomers listening going, you bloody kids, don't
20
know.
shillings equals £1.
Oh, so almost a pound.
And obviously it makes sense because 12 pence is 1 shilling. So
Obviously.
240 pence, this is how you remember it, 240 pence is 1 pound.
Oh,
Do you get that? 24 hours in one day, 10 pence for every hour equals 1 pound.
Perfect. Yep.
Huh? Straight up?
Yeah,
So
right.
15 pence
Good.
is what? 15 shillings.
3/4 of a pound. 75 cents.
Yeah, okay.
Or pence,
Okay.
I guess. No, well, pence now, because now there's 100 pence.
Okay.
But back then, 240
I'm
pence
sorry
in a
I
pound.
asked.
So
So 15 shillings.
it's 180 pence in their money. Is that okay?
Okay.
3/4,
What's pence to pound?
240 pence to a pound.
Yeah.
So he's really not making very much money at all.
But he's making 15 shillings.
Shillings.
So which is 3/4 of 1 pound back then.
Okay.
Because there's-
Which is almost that was almost enough to get to London.
Yeah. So work for a couple of days, you could get to London.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Plus, he gets to probably keep the stale herring that hit him across the face.
Yeah, that's fun.
Got the
Make some
job.
eggs.
But these
Yeah, just open up.
Delish.
But I'm like,
In between the second and third stanza, just open up.
he's just catching the eggs. That's my breakfast.
I like bacon as well.
who are these people that are like going to the circus with pockets full of eggs
I know.
and bread and
To
what
throw
else are they
stuff.
throwing at them?
Potatoes. Flour is a weird one.
Flour.
Yeah. How do you throw flour?
You're just getting the person in front of you.
Yeah. You're getting yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting flour
Yeah. But
everywhere.
Potato sounds like it could kill someone.
Potato could hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could do some real damage. But here's the thing. These shows became so wild and rowdy that the city magistrate put a ban on the shows from happening, which you would think that McGonagall would be happy about, seeing as he was being pelted with eggs and vegetables and fish. But he was outraged.
No, but he's willing. Like that's
Yeah.
he's turning up every night to come and do this.
Exactly.
He's suffering for his art, right?
Yep.
Is that what's happening? But he's causing riots almost. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like
It's
he's
getting,
really.
It's getting rowdy. So, but he's angry about it. And so he was so outraged that he wrote a poem. And the poem...
Of course.
The poem is entitled Lines in Protest to the Dundee Magistrates. He's very literal in his titles as well.
Honestly, that could have a bit more alliteration, in my opinion, but Evan probably likes it.
Fellow citizens of Bonnie Dundee, are ye aware how the magistrates have treated me? Nay, do not stare or make a fuss when I tell ye they have boycotted me from appearing in the Royal Circus.
Oh my god.
He rhymed fuss and circus.
Yeah, and then but missed the time where it should rhyme by about 3 sentences.
It's gone way too long, which in my opinion is a great shame and a dishonour to the city's name. So he's like, what? Can you believe the magistrates aren't letting you throw fruit at me?
The magistrate would feel like a bit of a fool.
Yeah, as they should, through the power of poetry. In 1890, to help him get out of some serious financial trouble, his friends funded the publication of a collection of his works.
He's got some great friends.
He's got some really good friends.
Man.
So he must be an okay person, I guess.
Yeah.
He feels like maybe he's fun to be around, but then his poems just maybe aren't
Just a little bit of a kook.
Yeah.
So the book, called Poetic Gems, sold enough for McGonagall to get by for a while. But by 1893, he was fed up with the way people in Dundee treated him. I don't fully understand.
Too many benefactors looking after me.
So what did he do? He wrote a poem.
Of course.
Yes, he wrote an angry poem threatening to leave Dundee if people didn't start showing some respect for him. From Wikipedia, one newspaper quipped that he'd probably stay for another year once he realised that Dundee rhymes with 1893. A newspaper wrote that.
Wow.
Just taking the piss. This guy's like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. They're like, he'll stay once he realises he can make an easy poem. Oh my God, it's so funny.
He's like, actually, yeah.
Actually, yeah, that is pretty
really
good.
good.
That is
Dundee in
really
93.
good.
Oh my God, that's
How
Or
much
I-
of his catalogue is angry poems?
Not all angry.
Okay.
Or mostly quite factual.
yeah. Some of them
Right.
about this beautiful bridge might fall down.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
He wrote one about the Queen one time. Yeah,
Which she loved, I heard.
she loved it. She was a big fan of it. She said, "You're my poet." By 1894, William and his wife Jean moved to Perth, which today is
What?
about in Scotland.
Oh.
I know. For a second, I was like, "Oh," because I love any link
He's
to
Aussie.
Australia.
We can claim him
He's
now.
one of ours.
No, the old Perth.
The old Perth.
Right.
By today, I mean, it was probably more of a journey back then, but today, apparently, it's about half an hour drive out of Dundee. It's not that far, but he's
Right.
moved. And back then,
This guy just walks most places.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting out of Dundee. I'm going to Perth.
Birth, mirth,
Oh my God,
Oh,
yes.
this is
Colin
great.
Firth. It all
Girth.
rhymes. Yeah.
Did you already say girth?
No, but that's a great
That's
one.
a good one. What else?
Worth.
Yes.
You could probably like rhyme words that almost rhymes, like turf.
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
Yep.
Surf and turf in Perth.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. Can I just write this down?
Now we're talking. Are we going into business?
The business of poetry.
Soon after this move, some good fortune finally came McGonagall's way. He received a letter from a representative of King Thibor Min of Burma. In the letter, McGonagall was informed that the king had knighted him, and his title was now Topaz McGonagall, Grand Knight of the Holy Order of the White Elephant Burma.
That's incredible.
My God.
Huge.
That's the biggest title he's got yet.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, most people these days know that when you get an email from a Nigerian prince asking for money, it's probably a scam.
Yes, and you find that out the hard way after trusting too many princes.
Yes.
Yes.
And even back then, a letter from the King of Burma saying, hey, guess what, I knighted you, was quite clearly a hoax.
What?
But despite this, McGonagall, knowingly or otherwise, referred to himself as Sir William Topaz McGonagall, Knight of the White Elephant Burma, in his advertising for the rest of his life.
Oh, man.
He just
it's
fully
hard to
leaned in.
resist, right?
It is.
Topaz?
That's a great title.
Topaz.
This is like buying that like a patch of land in Scotland and calling yourself a lord.
Yes.
Well, did you know that, Evan, you're currently having a conversation with Lady Jessica Perkins of Sealand.
Sealand?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're currently filling in for Lord Matthew Stewart, also of Sealand.
Yep.
Okay.
Lord and
where's,
Lady.
where's Sealand again?
Middle of the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Middle of the Ocean. Basically, we just did one of my favourite ever episodes of the show. You did a report on Sealand, which is like this island that declared itself, like a man-made island that declared itself a country.
Yeah, a micronation.
And a micronation, that's right. And now you can buy titles
Yep.
from a website that I actually bought for Matt and Jess.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right.
Is that
great.
what did we make you, was it the pie competition?
You allowed me to spruik my pie competition on here from
Yep.
Brumbies, and I got our listeners to vote me as Brumbies gourmet pie guy.
Okay.
And in fairness, I did win $10,000.
Yes,
pretty good.
So good.
That's worthwhile.
So we're like, you're buying us some titles.
So with some of the pie money, I bought titles. They're frame certificates.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, and you're using this in all your advertising now?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it says Lady Jessica Perkins, Lord Matthew Stewart, and Brumbies gourmet pie guy Dave Warnock.
$10,000 is a good chunk of money to win.
incredible.
Like that
That's
rolls.
so good.
It's so good.
You have good luck with competitions.
Yeah.
You got to be in it to win it.
Where
We've
did you
won a
go?
couple.
What, you want a trip
Mexico?
to Mexico?
To Mexico, yeah. Through Taco Bill for their 50th
How did you win
birthday.
that one?
It was their 50th birthday, Taco Bill. This is maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. And they wanted you to share your best Taco Bill memory. And I wrote a story and sent it in, and they chose mine.
Wow. Was it a poem?
It wasn't a poem. It was just a little tale that I sort of, to be honest, pumped up a little bit.
Sure. As my dad says, never let the truth ruin a good story.
Exactly.
And that's why you never listen to a thing my dad says.
Well, that's why I took the John Perkins approach, and I put a bit of mayo on a story, and they loved it, and they brought me into the head office after I won to take a photo and give me a certificate, and then they said, what we loved about your story was it just felt so genuine.
He said, yes.
There were all these people writing in stuff like, I tried to propose my wife with a taco, but she ate the ring. Can you imagine? They're like, clearly this is bullshit. But yours was just so genuine. Here's a trip to Mexico.
Amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, you have had some good luck, but you got to be in it to win it. You're right.
Exactly.
I have a friend who enters like every competition. And
do they win?
Yeah, she wins a bit. But
Yeah,
you
you
always,
would just statistically.
Exactly. But you go like, wow, she wins a lot of competitions. When's the last time I entered one?
My tip for people is you can largely, for me, ignore ones where it's a game of chance. Like, just put your name in the drawer. We'll pull one out because, like, they're so easy that more people enter. But as soon as there's a hurdle, like, you've got to get people to vote for you. Or in 25 words or less, 50 words or less, or you have to write an entry.
Yeah.
Yep.
People go, I'll get to that. Oh, I can't be bothered. So the pool is already smaller.
Yeah.
And if you can come up with something a little bit funny or a little bit unique, you're more likely to even stand out then.
Yeah.
So that's how you can win it.
Was it quite a short story you had to write? Like, was it 50 words or less?
No, they didn't have a word count. So I wrote a page and they actually published the story on their website. And then there were a few angry people in the comments being like, I can't believe this one. I thought it was 25 words or less.
Wow.
Sorry.
I didn't read the website properly,
that's
and
right.
I'm pissed.
That's my other tip. Always read the terms and conditions.
That's great. Yeah, we should start entering some more competitions, Evan.
We
You
should
and
do
I,
that.
as a team.
Okay.
Let's go to Mexico.
Yeah. Let's write some poetry.
Let's write it.
Or the other night, Jess drove me home from the podcast and I said, look, and I'm already pushing my luck, but can we please stop for milk? I need milk. And you did. And then I came
Very
back,
graciously,
came back
didn't
into
I?
the car with 2 litres of milk and also a $1 scratchy. And I pledged that if we won the $10,000 on that scratchy, we would split the money.
Yep.
And I'm pleased to report that the cereal the next day tasted fantastic. We didn't win, but the milk was absolutely worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Well, that's
Can you split that feeling of the great tasting breakfast?
No, but like I feel like, I don't know if I'm putting words in your mouth, Jess, but it was the $1 was worth the excitement of us sitting there in your car scratching it under torchlight.
It was so funny watching Dave like hunched over in my car,
Yeah.
going, "Oh,
Oh,
no, oh,
yeah, oh, strawberry,
no, yep."
strawberry, pear. Fuck. I will try again. There's another one here.
Goddamn pear.
We didn't win, which is crazy, isn't it, Evan? But whatever.
That's right. No, I do encourage people to gamble responsibly,
Of course.
and more importantly, enter competitions. You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, that feels less like gambling.
Yeah, exactly. They're fun prizes too.
It usually only costs you time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you feel like you
Who
earn it.
cares about my time?
You earned that jet ski.
That's right. Anyway, that's a little detour, but that was a lot of fun. William Topaz McGonagall. The McGonagalls only lived in Perth for a little under a year. William wrote that while the people there were very kind to him, the city itself was too small for him to make a living. So the next year, in 1895, he and his wife moved again, this time to Edinburgh. Here, McGonagall met with some success, becoming a bit of a cult figure, and he was in great demand.
Oh, wow. Is that in his own words? Because I can't trust anything.
Potentially, and look, it's always short-lived, but
Okay.
he had a bit of a cult following, and he got to perform in some places and make a little bit of money. But the mild success only lasted a few years, and by 1900 he was once again broke. But this time he was quite old. He was about 75, which isn't that old, but back then, ancient.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty old.
It's a good innings.
Yeah, he was too frail to walk the streets selling his poems, and once again some kindly donations from friends kept him afloat. And sadly, all good things must come to an end, and William McGonagall died in 1902. So he would have been, 77?
7? Yeah.
Depending on
Yeah,
when he was actually born.
that's right.
Well, yeah.
We think he was probably 77. He was buried in Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh, in an unmarked grave, but a plaque was mounted on a wall there in 1999, 97 years after his death, which reads, "William McGonagall, poet and tragedian, I am your gracious majesty, ever faithful to thee, William McGonagall, the poor poet that lives in Dundee." I don't know if he wrote that. It's beautiful. So a career spanning some 25 years and widely regarded as one of the worst poets in history. But the fun thing with these stories is the question that remains, are they in on it? Like,
Yeah.
was he aware that his writing was bad and he just didn't care? Was he a master of satire and taking the piss the whole time? Was he just terrible but ignorance is bliss?
Yeah.
Hard to say. But more than 120 years later, we're still aware of him. His work is still printed and available to modern readers.
Wow.
In
What
fact,
a legacy.
I know. Like, he's lived on quite a lot in popular culture and he's been referenced in a lot of sources over the years, particularly in comedy. A character called McGonagall frequently appeared in the British radio comedy program The Goon Show, alternately played by Spike Milligan and Peter Sellers, two big
Wow.
names in British
Yeah,
comedy.
And the Goon Show was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very influential.
And Milligan also occasionally gave readings of McGonagall's verse. Like, he would read his... Spike Milligan also recounted McGonagall's life story in the pastiche novel William McGonagall, The Truth at Last.
That's fun.
And Spike Milligan must have been obsessed with William McGonagall because he also portrayed him in the 1974 movie called The Great McGonagall. So I think he really latched onto the comedy side of this writing. An episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus featured a McGonagall-esque poet called Ewan McTeagle, whose poems were actually prose requests for money. And a collection of 35 broadsheet poems of McGonagall's, the majority signed by him, was bought for £6,600 from an auctioneer in Edinburgh in 2008. Went for $6,000.
How many shillings is that?
That's a lot of shillings. And Terry Pratchett referenced him in The Wee Free Men, where a character is a battle poet or a McGonagall, who repels the enemy through the awfulness of his poetry. Training up it's so good. This is from Wikipedia. Training up a successor, the old bard congratulates the young one. That, lad, he said proudly, was some of the worst poetry I've heard for a long time. It was offensive to the ear and torture to the soul. A very commendable effort. We'll make a McGonagall out of you yet.
That's great.
So the character of a
That's great.
McGonagall is a terrible
Yeah,
poet.
it's like a Stephen Bradbury or something.
Yeah. I think this was my favourite legacy, though, in that I think it sort of sums up the playful admiration people have for him. So in 1965, a competition was organised to find poets of McGonagall's calibre, with cash prizes being offered to winners. Again, Peter Sellers and Spike Milligan were involved. They were judges.
Amazing.
After careful deliberation, the judges decided to reject all entries and declared that no poet can yet compare with William McGonagall.
Oh, that's beautiful.
None of you are bad enough.
Yeah. And Stephen Pyle, he has written a book called The Book of Heroic Failures, and he sums it up quite nicely, saying McGonagall was so giftedly bad, he backed unwittingly into genius. And it is that sort of thing you were saying before of like, it's so bad, it's good.
Yeah, it is.
It is like The Room. It's like so many other, it's the Cherry Sisters. It's
I enjoy it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I really like it. And I don't like it in a mean-spirited way. I like it in a sort of, I admire that type of person.
Yeah.
But I think
And
it's...
I don't know. I actually find it entertaining to read. I think I genuinely would enjoy reading that more than good poetry.
Yeah.
So at least
I get it. I understand it, you
so-
know?
Yeah.
You know?
I get what all these words mean together.
Yeah. It's so funny. I liked his... the way he actually wrote stories and stuff, I think was quite funny. It's, I just think it's very funny. This is a little part of one of his poems called Attempted Assassination of the Queen. God prosper long our noble queen, and long may she reign. Maclean he tried to shoot her, but it was all in vain. For God he turned the ball aside, Maclean aimed at her head, and he felt very angry because he didn't shoot her dead. It's just so literal and
I was
so...
wondering if he would go with head, dead.
Yeah. It's not, it's like a lot of his writing as well feels a bit poor taste. It's that sort of...
Why is he picking this stuff to write
I
about?
don't know, but he's just, he misses a few social cues and stuff.
When
and it's so
did
funny.
the limerick take off? Because I feel like he would have
Interesting.
really been very good, excelled
Yes.
at writing a limerick. A bit of fun, a bit naughty maybe.
Yeah. I think he really would have shone.
Getting the rhyme.
But I love that. So giftedly bad, he backed unwittingly into genius. I think...
That is good.
and so I hope that the spirit of this has come across as laughing, but somewhat with admiration.
Of
you know,
course.
it's not really mocking
You
somebody.
gotta respect the guy.
Totally, and just the like. I think I respect people who are just so unfazed and so unflappable that they're like, this is the thing I do.
Yeah.
And I don't care what other people think. I think
Yeah.
that rules.
He's not hurting anybody.
I know what
Yeah.
other people think. They think I'm great.
Exactly. I think that's just so... There's something really funny and endearing about that. And I love these kind of stories. So I had a lot of fun writing that. Thank you to Tim for suggesting that topic. I loved it. If you've got others in this sort of vein, please let me know because I'm all for it.
I was sitting next to you whilst you were writing
Yeah.
that, and you couldn't tell me what you were laughing at, but you were laughing a lot throughout the report.
I was. I'd keep
That's a good
laughing and
sign.
then I'd want to read Dave a bit of the poem and I was like, no, I can't.
Got to keep it a secret.
It was yesterday, so I didn't have to wait long.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I just found another funny bit.
Oh, he's done something else a bit silly. But there we go. So that's it. That's the story of William McGonagall.
I realise I've
Beautiful.
been to that the Greyfriars Kirkyard.
Have you?
Yeah, in Edinburgh, it's right near the Greyfriars Bobby statue. You know that little dog that's the statue that people rub its
Oh, shit. I've
rub it
been
for
there
good
then.
luck. And there's a little behind the pub there is this little cemetery. And that's where it is.
Oh, I do know that little dog. Walked past it many times.
Yeah, and this is this very old cemetery there and I've walked past that plaque without even knowing. There you
Yeah,
go.
cool. There you go.
Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
To hear about the poetry, obviously your career, your backup career has been locked in forever now. You
Yeah.
know that you can excel at poetry. You
Yeah.
know how to make the money now.
You don't even have to be good.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
exactly.
You have to be confident.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. And I think you could be that if you just
You think
worked
so?
on it a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't think you won't need the backup career because everything's going so well for you.
Yeah.
Hosting gamey game that people can check out. What's a comedy panel show that you host on the Stupid Old channel about video games and gaming stuff.
Yep, you guys have both been on it. You can go search for it on YouTube. Yeah,
a lot of great guests. A lot of previous guests of the show also on there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check that out. And Stupid Old Studios is available.
What?
To hire.
Oh, yes, it is.
If people, I'm just trying to
People want to buy it.
No. I'm on point.
Name your price, Evan.
If you need to do a podcast, a video podcast, if you need to do a production in a studio or have something shot.
Yeah, swing by. We're in Melbourne. That's important. Australia.
That is important also,
But if you're local or if you know people who are local and spread the word, we're a brand new studio here and it's all good and we do good things and we're nice people. And
that's
exactly.
true.
And everything here is so great.
Oh, thank you.
Man, this place rules. I want to be buried here.
Have you thought about that?
Stupid Old Cemetery. There's some space that, like in the car park. There's a patch of
but I'd actually like to be buried in the podcast studio, which is on the second level, obviously.
Yeah.
But I still think you'll be able to.
There's a little bit of like a roof cavity.
He's small.
Oh, great! So go up.
Yeah,
I'll be in the roof. Okay.
Yeah, or also the walls. That there is like an air gap in the walls. So
Perfect.
I think we could probably. I think we can fit you in.
Love to be.
I think I'd like to be buried underneath my favourite car park.
Oh, and Jess has a really good car park out there.
Which one?
Yeah, right at the door.
The one with the yellow pole.
Yeah.
Oh.
I park right at the door.
Okay.
I'm a real pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I block the driveway.
I see.
And I want to be buried there. So you have to.
I mean,
park
we
on
only
top
just
of me.
redid the cement in that section.
Okay. So you're saying I'm not dying anytime soon. Hopefully.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. No,
Fuck,
that's
this
fine.
will sound crook if people listen to this later and I'm dead.
Oh,
all right.
Imagine.
But they'll know where to pay their respects.
That's right.
Next to the yellow pole.
Stupid Old Studios.
We know your wishes.
Yeah.
But yes, Evan, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And as we say goodbye to the great man, Evan Munro-Smith,
Love you, Evan.
we say hello to everybody's favourite section of the show, the fact, quote, or question section, which I believe, Jess, may have a jingle that sounds something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
What I did there was, I remember singing the ding. You remember singing, I remember the ding. I put the inflection on the question too early and then had to ask a second question.
I honestly, yeah, you did. And you knew because I, in the past, have thrown a tantrum if you don't say, and it sounds something like this.
Yes, exactly.
I knew exactly what was happening there.
And I remembered, gotta do that.
Or she will be a diva.
Correct.
Yeah, we've been together too long now. We know each other too well. There's no surprises here.
No surprises. Now, this is everyone's favourite section of the show, as we say, where people, who support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/dogoonpod, get their time in the sun and also just, get to contribute to the show and we have a bit of fun with them.
And it's good for them to get some time in the sun because they are a pack of nerds. So they are inside constantly and they're all vitamin D deficient. So it is nice we give them this little time in the sun just for their health, really.
That's right. Led by me, I'm extremely pale.
Yes, you are.
I need
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with pale, but you are sickly.
Yes, and there's definitely something wrong with that.
That's not good. It's not ideal. So yeah, this is where we get to thank some people, and they get to give themselves a title and give us a suggestion, a fact, a quote, a question, a brag, a compliment, a recipe, a complaint. Have we had complaint before? I don't want to open that up. I don't want to encourage it.
It does feel recently we had a couple where it felt like they'd maybe joined the tier.
Yes.
On Patreon.
To give feedback.
Feedback, but you've got to pay.
Maybe it's okay to put a complaint behind a paywall. But if you're going to complain, make it something like, I'm really mad there isn't more because I love you so much. Stuff like that. I'd be okay with that. But then actually, no, I wouldn't, because then I'll spiral of like, there's only so much of me. I'm doing my best.
Yes. I think
maybe just keep it positive or I'll have a breakdown.
The great man and former guest of the show, Luke Heggie, I think on his website you can submit a complaint, but you have to pay a fee to get the complaint.
That is so... That is so funny and so Luke Heggie.
Yeah,
I
great. love it. And then maybe there's like a drop-down menu of what you're complaining about, and then he's pre-written a bunch of really funny answers.
Oh my God, that's so good. Yeah, are we both going to Luke Heggie's website right now?
LukeHeggie.com. Let's go on it.
Let's check it out. Let's make a complaint.
I think it used to be $1 per complaint.
Oh, yeah, complaints. I see that. It's got its own tab. I was most offended by swearing even though I'm an adult. The one thing that was mentioned that applies to my life, but nothing mentioned that other complainers may find offensive to their insignificant lives. Oh, man.
Do yourself a favour. It's very, very funny. It looks like it's free these days. Maybe he's opened it up because it's... But for a while there, I think it was $1 per complaint.
Wow, that's good stuff.
He also does great merchandise like pencils.
Far out. He's very funny. Yep, looking at his merch. Don't know how we've gotten derailed, but...
One we've got to mention is Fort Jocks. Have you come across this before?
No.
This is... Let me read a description. There's $20 for Fort Jocks. Jocks, of course, is an Aussie slang for underpants. Australia's premier beach security device. Send potential thieves packing with a pair of large men's whites, complete with a pocket for your valuables, and laboratory-designed printed skid marks in the gusset. Relax in the ocean with peace of mind this season as crooks rifle through other unsuspecting bathers' belongings instead of yours. So basically, it's a pair of tidy whities with a skid mark printed on it that you put your wallet or your phone in, and at the beach, no one wants to touch them. He is a genius.
He is so funny. That's great. So maybe if you have a complaint for us, just take it to Luke Heggie instead.
Yeah, because it's funnier that way.
Let's keep this sort of positive. So without Matt here, how are we going to do this week? Do you want me to read the fact quota questions?
Okay, you happy to?
I'm happy to.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, have you read these before you read these? Because Matt always promises he hasn't.
I have not read these before I read them.
No pre-read.
But I'm a fantastic reader. I read at a year 8 level.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I'm only in year 6, so it's very impressive.
Oh, is that 2 ahead?
Yeah.
I don't know that because I'm year 8 maths.
I was so fucking smug when we would do testing in school, and my reading and comprehension was usually a few years ahead.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. What a brag. Maths was always, roughly where you should be, I guess. Like, it was never good. And everything else was very average, but I could read fairly well. And I would be like, I'm so fucking smart. I was so smug about it. What an asshole.
Don't worry. I need you to know that I was also smug about mine was maths.
Of course.
And, which is funny because I didn't commit to it in high school or anything like that. But in primary school, so they'd give you a graph. You're talking about the thing where it'd be like, you should be in the middle of this chart if you're at a grade 4 level.
Yep.
And then it'd be like, but if the black dot moved to the right, you're at a grade 6 level.
Yeah.
My one, it was literally off the page.
Oh, my God.
And I got sent to Gateways, the nerdy.
I went to Gateways. Never for maths, only for English.
So there you go. And then I didn't end up really even doing maths in high school, so there you go.
Gateways was
wasted talent.
I feel like we've talked about Gateways at some point. It was like an out-of-school sort of – you'd go off to do these sort of extracurricular days. A lot of mine were obviously English-related, so you'd have to read a book and then there'd be activities around that or something. Or, it was just sort of extra education, and usually you were selected to go there because you were gifted in a particular area or, excelled in an area, not gifted. Was not a child genius, as you well know because you know me as an adult.
Hey, no, a lot of child geniuses fail spectacularly, so claim it.
I haven't failed spectacularly yet. There's time. Anyway, our first fact quota question this week. It started for a bit of dramatic effect and then I actually needed to clear my throat. Our first one is from Dave Loring, who has given himself the title Unofficial Promoter of. Okay.
Of the pod.
Just says of.
Great.
No, I'm not sure if Dave just ran out or if that's part of it, but let's just see. Anyway, and Dave is giving us a suggestion.
Love a suggestion.
Okay. The suggestion is, hey friends, just thought I'd throw out a suggestion / shout out to a musician I like a lot. He's called Petey on the socials as PD_USA, and he's got a big following for his very amusing comedy skits, but he's also a really good musician, which not many people are aware of. He's touring his new album in a few shows around Australia in Feb, so thought I'd do my part to do a little unaffiliated signal boost. If you're after good places to start, the song I'll Wait and Family of 6 off the newest album are incredible, as well as Don't Tell the Boys and Lean Into Life off his first. Also, I'm flying up to Melbourne to see him play, so if you all could just organise a little live show of your own the same weekend, that'd be very handy. Thanks.
Oh, is it December the 2nd?
No, it's Feb. Do you listen? Do you ever listen? You're already looking up PD_USA, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Well, I was just saying that's the only live show we've got booked in Melbourne at the moment, so I was just thinking that it might be incredible. I am looking at PD_USA.
I feel like I'm... No, I don't know. I was thinking of somebody else. PD_USA. Very cool. Great suggestion. And love using your fact quote a question to raise somebody else up. That's so nice. So thank you, Dave. We love you so much.
Good one.
Dave came over to Melbourne for the Comedy Festival to see all of our shows, as in our individual shows at the Comedy Festival.
Came over from Tasmania.
From Tasmania. I knew it was... I obviously I remembered Dave was from Tassie, but I had a moment where I forgot, and he said I've flown up, and the only place to fly that Melbourne is up from is Tassie.
Antarctica.
God damn it! Anyway, we love you, Dave. Thank you so much. And a beautiful shout out to Petey. Next up, we have a fact quote question from Donna Zyber. Rhymes with cyber. Donna has given in.
Oh, right.
I love that. Thank you.
Zyber.
Donna Zyber. And Donna's given themselves the title High Priestess of Bad Influence on the Youth of the Mole People. Wow. High Priestess of Bad Influence. That's the kind of person I want to hang out with. That's an authoritarian role, but for cheeky shit. And I love that.
I love it a lot.
Donna's given us a quote. Quote is a quote from Baudelaire. Genius is nothing more or less than childhood recaptured at will. Genius is nothing more or less than childhood recaptured at will. I like that.
That's very good. And apt that Baudelaire's a French poet, and we were talking about poetry on this one.
Oh, we were.
So very apt.
But Baudelaire is a good poet. I mean, even just the fact that that sentence sort of makes you think a little bit. And has sort of imagery to it. You go,
very good, isn't it?
That's good poetry. Not just like, something happened on this day.
Something happened. Here's a near rhyme about it.
It's so tedious. I love him so much. Thank you very much for that beautiful quote, Donna.
We do love an inspirational quote.
Love a quote. Our next one comes from Stephen Edmonds. He's given himself the title Recipe Liaison. Stephen has sent us a couple of recipes before. And I'm guessing maybe he's done it again. Let's find out. He sent us a recipe. Yes. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Right, everyone, pens at the ready.
Get ready. I will not repeat myself. One of my favourite television shows of all time is an American cooking show called Good Eats, which was created and hosted by Alton Brown. It went into the science behind the cooking, often illustrated with props and puppets. One recipe from the show that has become the dish I take along to Christmas lunch with my family is a baked ham. While you can go buy a brined leg of ham from the supermarket that's ready to eat, this recipe proves that a long, slow bake and the addition of a crust makes it so much better.
I love a Christmas ham.
Do you?
And I love the days afterwards.
Boxing
Day
ham.
to New Year's, we just go to the fridge, you get out the ham bag, ham in a bag,
Yep.
cut off a little slice, which you can either eat cold or put it in a toasted sandwich. I love it.
I love the time between Christmas and New Year's.
Yes, it feels like this, like it's not real time.
Yeah, you just get lost for a week. It's
no
so nice.
responsibilities usually.
Okay, these are the ingredients. 1 brined half-leg ham, hock end.
Okay.
1/4 cup brown mustard. 2 cups dark brown sugar. Bourbon in a spray bottle.
That's great.
Love that. 2 cups crushed ginger snap cookies. I fucking love ginger snaps.
Love a ginger snap, love a butternut snap.
Yep. Steps. Heat oven to 120 degrees Celsius or 250 Fahrenheit.
Oh, not that hot. Okay.
Yeah, it's a low and slow. Prepare ham by scoring the skin in a diamond pattern and tenting with foil. Cook for 3 to 4 hours or until internal temperature reaches 55 degrees Celsius or 130 Fahrenheit. Remove skin and fat from ham. Heat oven to 180 degrees Celsius.
Now we're talking, okay.
350 Fahrenheit. Apply thin layer of mustard. Pat on layer of brown sugar. Spritz on bourbon. Cover with crushed cookies. Cook until the internal temperature reaches 60 degrees Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit, approximately 1 hour. Rest for half an hour and then carve. Wow. One downside is that for this to be ready for lunch, I do need to get up at 6 a.m. on Christmas morning, but the results are delicious. The episode this is featured in is Season 4, Episode 6, titled Ham I Am. The other recipe in that episode uses a whole salted ham leg that is baked with Dr. Pepper. I would like to try that one day, but that is a lot of ham, and a salted ham leg is a specialty item here in Australia. There you go. Very interesting.
Good one, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. That was fun for me to read as a vegetarian.
Oh. Do you like the bit where they were patting down the meat?
I loved it.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to Christmas ham, maybe. Honestly, I'm never trusted with doing it, so.
No.
But I could put this recipe forward to whoever is.
We were talking just the other day, some friends and I, about how in our extended families, it's always the aunties in particular, but all of the aunties have like a signature dish they're known for, and how we were kind of like, you start to look forward to like, oh, is Auntie Mary bringing that?
Oh, yeah, she makes fantastic.
Yeah, is she making a cheesecake? Yes, her cheesecakes rule. My grandma was famous for pav. She made an incredible pavlova. She had
big fan.
10 grandsons and 2 granddaughters, and you would think, being of that generation, she would pass it on to the granddaughters. No, she chose 2 of the grandsons, and they got a lesson, and now they make the pav. It's beautiful.
Oh, love it.
But yeah, it was like, grandma's made a pav, get out of my way. We'd team up. It was beautiful. So I like that Stephen's famous for the ham.
Yeah, ham I am.
Okay, last but certainly not least, Harrison and Rebecca Ellis, who have given themselves a title, Work From Home Professionals.
We respect it.
I love that. And they've asked a question.
Oh, okay.
And the question is, just Harrison here for this one. Okay, well, I've shouted out both of you like an idiot. I'm actually double dipping and starting my question with a brag.
Okay.
My sister recently got married. Hooray! Her husband, now my brother-in-law, is an awesome guy. We've gotten along great. We're both huge fans of Pokemon, and every time they come and visit, he brings his cards over and we play for hours. That's so cute.
Not where I thought this was going. This is so adorable.
It's so adorable, and it's so funny that your partners are like, let's take that. Let the boys have a play date.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let them bring over Starmie.
Even if it's the 4 of us, Rebecca and I, and then my sister and her husband, have plans to go out to eat or hit the town and hang out, we still find time to squeeze in a game of Pokemon or 2. My question for you, do you have any traditions with a friend or family member?
Oh, I see.
That's really cute. I love that. It's always so nice when you get along really well with a sibling's spouse. It's a relief. Because you hate, like, it doesn't always happen. So it's nice when you're like, oh, I really like my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, whatever. So I love that you play Pokemon together. That is so cool. Love it. Any traditions with friends or family members?
Growing up, me and my cousin Jackson, he and my grandma lived in the country.
J-A-C-K or J-A-X?
J-A-C-K.
Of course.
From the old
generation?
school.
Yeah.
And we would play cricket in grandma's front yard.
Yeah.
From like dusk till dawn every summer.
Yep.
You know, we'd go out there, stay there for a week or something, every day, all day. So that was the thing I looked forward to so much, playing cricket in the front yard.
Yep. That's a good one. Christmas with mum's side of the family, with all those cousins, was always cricket in the backyard. My grandparents' backyard, not very big, but we would always play cricket. And then if Christmas was hosted at my auntie's place, who lived on acreage, she lived on a farm. Oh, man. The cricket games got crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked forward to that too. That was always really fun. And I don't like cricket. I'm not good at it. But it was just like, I don't know, it was just fun to go play a game.
Yeah, have a go. The last couple of Christmases at my sister's place, we've played Monopoly on Christmas night.
Ooh.
Which is risky.
It's dangerous.
But it went down well. It was fun.
Yep. That is good. Yeah, I mean, we spoke was it last week? We've spoken recently about, or a little while ago, about the Christmas traditions my family have of buying ridiculous presents and really making a game of it. There's usually at least one in there that is some sort of group activity that we can play. Like one year it was like inflatable bowling pins and like an inflatable ball. And so
that's fun.
And my parents have this really long corridor in their house. So of course that was now a bowling alley. And other times, one time we all got remote control cars, but because the budget's quite low for this game, the remotes were attached to the car, so you had to sort of follow the car around.
You had to run with it.
So there's like 6 adults running around the house with our cars. Very stupid, but a lot of fun.
Very fun.
So there you go. That's our Fat Critter questions. Harrison, Stephen, Donna and Dave, thank you so much for those wonderful fact quotes or questions.
Thank you so much.
And that brings us to the next thing that we like to do, which is to shout out some of our wonderful Patreons, again, who support us over at patreon.com/dogoonpod.
Well, we should mention, you can get bonus episodes of the show. If this is the kind of thing you want to hear more of our voices, there's nearly, I think it's 194 at the time of recording, plus bonus episodes that you unlock instantly at the bonus episode level. And we put out 3 more a month.
Yep.
So there's a lot to listen to.
There's a lot to listen to. It's a lot of fun.
Legit hundreds of hours of bonus content up there, as well as access to like pre-sale tickets.
Yep.
The Patreon Facebook group, which is a lovely place. And then also this bit where we shout people out. And before I rudely interrupted Jess, I'm sure you're about to say that you usually come up with a game based on the topic.
Yes.
Any ideas?
I thought it could be, you know how William McGonagall, his most famous or infamous poem was about a bridge. I thought it could be the subject of their most famous poem.
Oh, I love it.
It could be an event, an object, a building, a person, a feeling. It can be anything.
Yes.
Do you think that's good?
I love it.
Because these are all poets in my eyes.
Absolutely.
I think in so many ways we are all poets, dare I say.
Wow, and by saying that, you yourself have become a poet.
Holy shit. That's amazing.
It's good stuff.
So yeah, I think that'll be a bit of fun. So shall I go first? I'll kick it off. You want to do half each?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, great. Firstly, I would like to thank from San Diego in California, Chad Chittister.
Chad Chittister.
Would you say Chittister?
Oh, I might say Chidester, just because I like the sound of it.
Chidester.
Chad Chidester. Doesn't that sound American?
Chad Chidester.
Yo. Hey, I'm Chad Chidester.
Chad Chidester, FBI.
Hey, I'm Chad Chidester. You're listening to MTV.
You're listening to MTV.
If you turn around, you can watch it as well.
I think we've absolutely nailed
I feel like
that.
someone would call into like, what's
Hey.
that? TRL, Total Request Live with Chad Chidester.
Chad Chidester.
Or
Love that.
Chidester. But I'm really hoping your name's Chad Chidester.
Really makes me laugh.
Chad, 100% not laughing at you. Laughing
No.
with you. We love you.
Laughing with you. We love you.
And Chad's most famous poem is about trimming hedges
Yes.
and how to remember, especially the ABCs of how to remember.
But it's interesting you say that because it sounds like it would be like almost more like a mnemonic device or like a fairly dull poem, but it's actually really moving.
Yes.
You know, it's about trimming hedges, yes.
Yeah.
But it's also about so much
That's
more.
what it's on the page anyway.
Yeah.
But there's a few hidden messages.
You dig deeper and you're like, holy shit.
Chad
It's about-
Chidester?
It's about the relationship between a father and a son. It's gorgeous. A beautiful poem, Chad. And
Great work.
we thank you for it. I would also love to thank from deep within the Fortress of the Moles, address unknown, Kev William.
Kev William. What's Kev poeting about?
Kev's most famous poem, obviously a prolific writer.
Yeah.
Kev's most famous poem is about the feeling of anger.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a very angry poem.
Is Kev...
And again, when you dig a little deeper,
Okay,
you
it's
go,
more-
it's a relationship between a father and a son.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
A lot of our patrons have
Daddy issues?
daddy issues.
Big time. Yeah.
On you, Kev. Thanks for your support.
But Kev, an incredibly like sweet, kind, gentle person, teddy bear. So it's interesting.
Gentle Kev.
Most famous work is about anger.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Also, from Port Melbourne in Victoria, I would love to thank Patron.
Patron, who was a patron of ours.
Holy frickin' shit.
Is that what? Honestly, I can't tell if this is a joke because it's Patron. Are you just a patron of ours? And you don't want to give us your real name? Or is your real name Patron and you are on our Patron?
Patron rules, if that's a
Patron
name.
is a great name.
Or you're just protecting your own privacy, which honestly in this day and age makes so much sense, and we respect the hell out of it. Just hope you know who we're shouting out, and you probably do. So Pat Ron's most famous poem, Dave?
Is about George Clooney.
Yes, big fan.
Called an ode.
Specifically the Nespresso ads.
Yes, an ode to the Clune. Inspirational stuff, Pat Ron.
Beautiful stuff. Also for me, I would love to thank from San Jose in California, Evan Mers.
Evan Mers.
Great name.
It is good.
Evan's most famous poem is actually about Evan Munro-Smith.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From one Evan to another. It's called Ode to Evan from Evan. and it's quite moving.
From one Evan to another.
And it's interesting because I've known Evan Munro-Smith for close to 10 years.
Yeah.
I reckon. Long time. We've had a working relationship and, dare I say, a friendship. And only in reading Evan Mers's work about Evan Munro-Smith did I really feel like I began to know Evan Munro-Smith. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, that's right. You think you know someone, then you read about them in poetry form.
And you're like, wow.
Wow.
I'd never noticed how his eyes sparkle.
I've never noticed that Evan
Munro-Smith
is basically heaven.
Whoa. Yeah,
That's
shit.
the power of rhyme.
That's good stuff. We've got an odd number here. Do you want to take over or do you want me to do one more?
Well, we could go half and half because this is a double name.
Fantastic idea, yes. Well, from, again, deep within the Fortress of the Moles, address unknown, I would love to thank Jordan Kinsley.
And I would like to thank Lauren Davis.
Oh, Jordan and Lauren. A joint work. Can you believe it?
Oh, yes. They've worked together, maybe line by line.
Yes. So it is an interesting read because the styles are very different.
And about two different subjects.
Two different
Because
subjects.
you remind us, what's Jordan's subject about?
Jordan is writing about childbirth.
Right, and Lauren is writing about magpies.
It's very different. Yet somehow at the end you're like, oh my God, it all ties together.
It all ties together. Like,
And it's all about dad?
and the poem is called Dad ?
Yeah.
Dad?
Dad? Do you want to take over? Thank some people.
I'd love to thank from Chermside West, because we've got Churnside.
This is
but they've got
Cherm.
Chermside West in Queensland. It's Caitlin James.
Caitlin James. What a great name. Caitlin James, of course, quite famous for writing about cacti.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And it's a difficult work to get close to.
You want to reach out and touch it, but you just can't.
You can't. It'll prick you. I'm so glad you picked up where I was going there.
That is so funny.
Thank you so much.
That is so funny.
Thank you so much.
Possibly the highlight of the podcast, everyone.
Whoa, I take offense to that. I wrote this whole thing.
We peak late.
You got to stick around a long time to get the good stuff.
Hey, I would like to thank from Address Unknown. I can only imagine they're also deep within the Fortress of the Moles. It's Clint Broadwood.
Clint Broadwood.
Well, Clint Broadwood has an odd obsession.
Yes.
But it's quite a beautiful obsession.
Okay.
With witches' hats.
Witches' hats, yes.
Different sizes, different shapes.
Traffic cones.
Traffic cone. Whatever you want to call them.
Water.
Watch out, there's too much water on this road.
I better put down a traffic cone.
Yeah. But what does a witch wear? Does a witch wear a traffic cone?
No.
They
You
wear a
idiot.
hat.
They wear a witch's hat. Yeah, and again, a beautiful. Like you sort of go, that's an odd.
Yeah,
but it's a metaphor.
You would basically you'd see the subject and skip over it, but don't be so naive.
Don't be naive. Read it. It'll change your life.
Read it, love
That's all
it.
I'm saying. There's a reason it's Clint's most famous work.
Exactly, and Clint's got a lot of great work. I would now move to London, and where I'd like to thank Meg Budgeon.
Meg Budgeon.
Or Meg Budgen.
I think it's Budgeon.
I'm thinking it's Budgeon.
Budgeon's an incredible name.
Budgeon.
That fucking rules. Imagine if my name was Jess Budgeon. Can you imagine? Should I change my name?
To Jess Budgeon.
Well, if you were going to change your name to David Zest.
That's a powerful name.
Jess Budgeon, is it?
It's okay.
Can you remind me again what Meg's most famous work was, though?
Meg Budgeon. It's called Budgeon with the Best.
Yeah.
And it's about budgerigars.
Love them. Great bird.
But again, you look into it and it's about living in a cage.
Dad?
Dad?
Living in a cage. You're feeling like you're living in a cage.
Exactly.
Being a caged bird. Yeah.
Budgeon with the Best.
That's beautiful.
Meg Budgeon. Jess Budgeon. You reckon you can pull off Jess Budgeon?
Well, apparently not.
Well, take it from David Zest.
Okay.
I'll know when we find the perfect name for you. It could be this. It could be this from Seattle. Finally, in Washington, I would like to thank Pope Brack.
Pope Brack.
Or Pope Brack. B-R-A-K. Pope is an incredible first name.
Pope.
Are we allowed to have that in Australia? How so you
Yeah.
can't have Sir or Admiral and like little ranks.
I doubt it.
Is Pope one?
I don't think we can be called. Can you name a child Pope
Yeah.
in Australia?
Love to know.
Find out. Fuck, we can Google some weird stuff. Religious titles for a first name such as saint, bishop, goddess, father, sister, or pope, and the complete names of religious figures such as Jesus Christ, God, Satan, or Dalai Lama are prohibited names. That's in Queensland.
Oh, okay.
So no, we can't be named
Can't
pope.
call your child's sister.
Or goddess.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, Pope Brock, you've broken all the Queensland laws there to call yourself Pope in Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, your most famous work is, of course, about
Satan.
Satan. Yes. I've had a lot of imagery there.
Lot of imagery.
A lot of imagery.
Fire.
Yeah.
Pain.
Evil.
Evil.
The battle between good and evil.
Wow, it's really quite beautiful.
A child called Damien.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I think there was a movie
Oh.
in maybe the 80s with a kid it's called Damien, and it's like the kid is the devil.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Am I making that up, everyone?
No. I believe you. I don't do scary movies, mate. I didn't watch Jumanji for about 20 years because I thought it was scary, and then I watched it and I was like, Jumanji rules.
Oh, it's called The Omen.
Oh.
1978.
Yeah, I know The Omen.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Starring.
That's quite a famous movie.
Yeah, but then the franchise, the second movie's called Damien.
Gotcha.
Omen 2.
Okay. Now I'm with you.
And there's the Omen series. Let me tell you how many there are. Horror film franchise beginning in 76. Series centers on Damien Thorne, child born of Satan. There you go. There's quite a few. And then they made another movie called Damien in a television series called Damien in 2016. I've never seen any of them. I don't like horror films either.
Nah,
but I
do
do
it.
like Jumanji, both the original and the one with The Rock and Jack Black.
It's so fun. We watched that together and
That's
we loved
right.
it.
I haven't seen number 2 yet, though, have you?
I have.
Oh, damn it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
It's not as good. It's a lot of the same, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I think the best part about it was we watched it in London, I believe.
Yes.
And we all had very low expectations, and then it was pretty damn good. So
Yeah.
it seemed really, really good.
Yeah. We were beyond tired and just having a really fun time.
But I digress. I would like to thank Pope, Meg, Clint, Caitlin, Jordan, and Lauren, Evan, not Evan, I was going to say Eve, but I realised it was Evan, Pat, Kev, and Chad Chadster one more time. Thank you so much. Chad Chidester. I think that you could pull that off.
Do you think I could be Chad Chidester?
I think you could be Jess Chidester.
I don't think that's
Come on,
true.
say hi, I'm Jess Chidester.
Hi, I'm Jess Chidester.
Oh, hi, I'm David Zest. Nice to meet you.
I think I'll stick with Perkins for now, but thank you so much for
I'm
your
gonna
input.
Stick with David Zest.
The last thing that we need to do is welcome some people into the Triptych Club. We have two people being welcomed into the Triptych Club this week. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, if you support us on Patreon for 3 consecutive years on the shout-out level or above, you are automatically brought in to the Triptych Club. It's an exclusive club. Once you're in, you cannot leave. And it's a cool, like, clubhouse sort of vibe. We have food and drinks, and Dave books a band. Matt's behind the velvet rope. He checks off your name on the clipboard, lets you in. We hype you up. We go absolutely wild. Obviously, a Scottish-themed episode this week with William McGonagall.
Yes.
Being Irish, but, raised in Scotland.
Exactly. A lot of Scottish references.
Exactly. So we've got haggis. We've got deep fried Mars bar.
Oh, big fan.
We've got an iron brew.
That's culture.
That's culture. And Dave, you normally book a band. Have you booked a band this week?
You're never going to believe it.
What have you done?
I mean, I say that a fair bit here, but genuinely never going to believe this because I've booked a band maybe 6-7 months ago.
Yeah. There's no way you could have known. I didn't know what this topic was until yesterday when I wrote it.
Exactly. And I've somehow booked both a Scottish band.
What?
That is called The Poets.
No.
That's right. The Scottish blues, freakbeat, and psychedelic pop band from the 1960s, managed and produced by Andrew Loog Oldham, famous for managing the Rolling Stones in the 1960s. The Poets are here, famous for their cover version of Baby Don't You Do It. Please welcome The Poets.
Huge. Absolutely huge. What a great get. Thank you so much,
believe
Dave.
it? Huge.
I was hoping you'd get the Proclaimers, but...
Sorry, they were busy.
Typical. So, yeah, that's really exciting. So then the only other thing that we do is that I will read the name because Matt's not here. You can hype him up and then I'll hype you up.
Oh, thank you.
We
Thank
cut
God.
out Matt, Mr. Negative, who's always having a go at your fantastic puns and hype ups. There'll be none of that here. I'm full of positivity. So are you ready?
Yes.
Well, you're going to have to do puns based on their names because they are both from Deep Within the Fortress of the Moles. No addresses listed
no
here.
addresses to work with here. Okay.
So first and foremost, I would love to welcome in Robin Anderson.
Robin Anderson, of my favourite person.
Yeah, Robin.
Robin Banks. More like Robin my heart.
Oh, my heart's gone.
Oh my gosh, but I'll let you keep it, Robin.
Yeah.
You look after it. I trust you.
Okay, you've gone too far. And finally, I would also like to welcome in Jennifer Ann McKay.
Look, I'll give you not only the benefit of the doubt, I'll give you the Jennifer of the doubt.
Oh!
It's Jennifer Ann McKay. Or Mackay.
Could be Mackay.
The Mackay's the limit. Like sky's the limit?
That's good.
Is that pretty good? Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, you did
I
pause
did go
a
blank.
little-
Yeah.
You mouthed, what the fuck are you talking about?
I did stare
quickly.
at you with a blank expression.
And then you're like, I know what you mean.
That's mostly just because I got bored and uninterested. So thank you to Jennifer and Robin. Welcome into the Triptych Club. Please
Welcome.
help yourself to some haggis and some iron brew.
Enjoy yourself. I mean, you've been supporting the show for so long, you got to kick your legs up.
Yeah, enjoy.
You've been in that line for 3 years.
It's been a long time. Yeah, we do have little sleep pods and showers out the back if you need them.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And then join the party.
Some of you do need them.
And I'm not going to say who, Jennifer. Well, that
I'll give you the Jennifer the doubt. It's not you.
Now that brings us to the end of yet another fantastic episode, and what fun we've had. Another thank you to Evan Munro-Smith for coming in and filling in for Matt for us.
Yes, definitely check out Gamey Game.
Evan's such a busy man. We were so delighted he could actually come and join us. So big thank you to him. And yeah, if you want to suggest a topic, you can head over to the Triple J website. That's not true.
That would be difficult to suggest a topic.
Yeah, don't do it there. You can head over to our website, which is dogoonpod.com. You can find us on social media at dogoonpod. We are posting little clips of the show now as well. So if you want to see what we look like, which some people are horrified by.
Yeah, but some people are liking them.
Some people like it. Other people are like, oh, that's not how I imagined your faces. And it's like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that. So that feedback hurts.
And that's both on Instagram and TikTok.
TikTok, that's right. We do go on podcasts on TikTok. Remember, we're all in our mid-30s, so we're not great on TikTok, but it's not for us, Yeah,
we're trying our best.
We're trying our best.
So chuck us a pity follow, maybe.
Would you? You can mute us if you want, but just follow us. And as I think I said, you can suggest a topic, and we love you. Dave, boot it home.
Hey, we'll be back with another episode. You know what? Next week, I reckon. Let's do it weekly. This show. What do you think?
I think I'm free. I think
I'll
I can
put
do
one out
that.
in 7 days from now. But until then, I'll say thank you so much for listening and goodbye.
Bye.